iPad.
Yes. Did you just hit it, Ian?
No, that wasn't me, but somebody.
Well, I tried it and it didn't seem to click, but now it's on, so maybe it was me.
How can you tell that it's recording?
There's a little red light.
That was Olivier. He did his thing.
Yeah.
All right, so let me. I'm going to do a little reading. Hopefully, I won't be too much of a distraction. But for those who have joined us today, I'm happy to announce that we are launching our latest book today with 14 thought leaders. Okay, that's pretty exciting, from around the world who co-wrote Build to Grow. Our goal is to make it a bestseller today, and with your help, we can make that happen. So for today, for all of 99-cent investment. Now, I don't know about you guys, but 99 cents is all right. So that's a little more expensive than a senior coffee at McDonald's. But I'm sure.
Thank you for sharing.
I'm sure you all can handle that. So let me read a little bit about the press release, and then I'm going to open it up to a couple of authors that we've got with us today. The press release went out today, and it basically says the following: C-suite execs face a growing firestorm of profit killers. Sky-high healthcare, marketing costs, and constantly shaky and shifty technology. I should have said shifting technology landscapes and unparalleled turnover rates are some of the typical issues that employees and CEOs of companies face. Now, with an annual increase of 21.4% in historical employee replacement costs, it becomes important not only for business owners, but for CEOs and for employees of those companies to pay attention to what's happening in the landscape. Our new book, which launches today, is taking aim directly to take down those challenging issues that are facing all of us. So we are joined today by a number of authors. I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves, introduce their topic, and then have a conversation for a little while. So on the upper right of my screen, I've got Mr. Barry. So Barry, why don't you introduce yourself to the team, to the group, to the viewers, and tell us where you're from today also.
Barry Gamar, company is Complete AV LLC, also Competitive Advantage Video, and I'm based near Palm Springs, California. And it is chilly, it's winter in the desert, and unlike the East Coast, we might get some snow on our mountains here in the next couple of days. So
shocking.
It's all good. My topic is using the tools of video, I guess, is the best way to concisely put my chapter, and using it to reach out and engage and retain customers, much as we're doing here today on this blab. So using it in the context of supplanting traditional marketing mixes, reaching niches in the marketplace, extending our reach into places for our customer base and especially customer retention, and using it on an ongoing basis where it is systematized and it is automated and keeps the company in touch with customers on a regular, consistent basis. And that has, in our research, we found that one of the things that keeps many CEOs awake at night is that very topic of customer retention and being able to extend their sales cycles and have a frequency and consistency in doing business with customers. And as I noted in my chapter, that the first story that I told was about getting on a plane to go see customers, and this is back now almost 30 years ago. And it came down to not having what we're using today technologically, but having to physically go to the airport, get on a plane, fly to a destination, rent a car, and go meet with a customer to resolve some ongoing issues. So with the technology we have at hand today, we're able to systematize it, we're able to can it, where it is sitting on a server We are able to fulfill the customer's requirements, their needs, their ongoing concerns, and we can do it in a much more face-to-face, even if it is recorded, manner than we used to be able to with either print and mail, direct mail especially.
So Barry, let me interrupt you for a moment and ask you a question to illuminate and perhaps shake the thinking of some of our viewers and listeners. Mm-hmm. So what has changed in the last 5-10 years from a technology standpoint that has enabled this kind of shift to take place?
We've moved from an analog world to a digital world. So we're dealing now with zeros and ones, where before, to do what we're doing today, we would have had to have a film crew, we would have had to have a studio, lighting, all kinds of extra technological gear to make this happen, and then we would not have been able to, without the aid of a satellite truck, been able to do this real time. We would have had to process it, or we would have had to record it and upload it, or send a tape, or. There was a physical manifestation in our world as far as distribution was concerned, hence CDs, DVDs, videotapes, etc. Where today we're able to capture this with a digital camera, digital audio, send it across the internet in zeros and ones, and have it reconstructed on the other end in the form of an audio and an image that we're looking at and relating to and interacting with that we've never had before. So,
and Barry, who's the target market for this new technology, this new approach?
Well, our book is specifically targeted towards the C-suite and corporations. Our niche was $10 to $15 million companies on up, and we can do it with the ongoing, what do I want to say, the ongoing dialogue with our customers in those enterprises. So it's not just something that we're throwing out there on the internet and here it is, it's all done, go see it, have fun, nice talking to you, bye-bye. Now we have interactivity. Now we have a dialogue. Now we have a conversation. Now we have a and this happens now thanks to the technology.
Speaking of technology, we've got quite an echo going on. Mm-hmm. Barry, let me ask you to summarize and give people, the listeners and viewers, some contact information to further discuss this opportunity with you.
Easiest way to contact me is the website completeav.net, and the email is completeav@earthlink.net, which I can pick up anywhere in the world.
Okay, very good, Barry. Thank you.
Very well.
Let me go over to Nikki. And Nikki, let me review just very quickly, and then I'll turn it over for you to introduce yourself. I love the title of your chapter, which says, "Get Off Your Assets, Innovate Now." What is that about?
That's talking about having people who are already in the process of doing all kinds of content management, and they don't know any better to get it out there. And so what I suggest to people is take what you're doing already, whether it's going to a trade show, giving a presentation, doing a sales pitch in front of one of your potential clients, and video capture that. Some of you are already doing that, but the video stays in the can. And so what I'm suggesting is taking the stuff that you're already doing it and repurpose it. So you cut it up, you chop it up into pieces, and you turn it into a book, you turn it into podcasts, you turn it into social posts, you turn it into a membership site so you can produce some residual income by completely fulfilling more content over time, so that it's something that's of value and it's something that you don't really have to touch again. So we're just saying, capture it once, cut it up, send it out everywhere in every format, however anybody wants to consume it, and there you are when they're ready.
Nikki, for the benefit of everyone who's hearing and listening, and I apologize for the audio, but I think it's my iPad, I've been told. But let's continue and carry on. Where are you calling from today?
I'm in San Diego, And it's actually cooling down here. It's almost 65. So I'm wearing my slippers.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, we've had a heat wave. It was up in the upper 80s for a long time, and it's kind of a relief.
So, Nikki, in terms of your chapter, if I had to change my thinking in any way, what would it be?
It would be repurposing what you're already doing with the mindset of taking advantage of the technology, as Barry was explaining, and knowing that the majority of people are now initiating any kind of research for a purchase and or purchases on their tablets and smartphones. So everything is electronic. Digitized is the way to go. It's, multi-billions of accounts are shopping online, and you need to be there. You need to be where they're looking for you. And it's no longer direct mail. It's no longer just the trade shows.
And what key strategy has been working most recently to help people be found?
Well, it's the basis of combining your efforts. So you can do some paid advertising, which is kind of a traditional model. It still works to an extent, but being out there socially, you want to increase your social influence score. And what that means is that you can be found on multiple platforms, not just Facebook, not just Twitter. You're being found on Pinterest, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. You're being found in various and sundry places where different target demographics are consuming their content. And if you're the type of company that appeals to millennials or appeals to boomers or whoever, you need to find that out and basically go out and be everywhere and then test it. You do A/B split testing, and you do all kinds of testing and target monitoring, and then you figure out, where is my audience actually responding and engaging with my content and converting to sales.
So, Nikki, you introduced a concept that I like a lot. For those of us who have never heard it before, what is a social influence score?
It's basically how the algorithm of search engines find you based on your activity online. And it's not just Google. Twitter has sort of an algorithm that they use. There are different softwares that are actually capturing these scores. I don't want to single anyone out because it's a moving field. But basically, if you're out there and you've got several followers on Twitter and you've got several subscribers on YouTube and you've got a lot of connections in LinkedIn, each time you up that game, it counts in your favor. It's almost like having, a full deck of cards instead of a hand of 5 or 7.
And you can help companies and individuals with that score.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So how do people get a hold of you?
They can reach me online I've got a special. My bonus offer is, how to double your business in 90 days. So it's 90 days it's 90days.multicastprofits.com. Multicast is what I'm talking about when I say cut it up, get it out there everywhere. Every device is able to find you in some capacity.
Excellent. Thank you very much for
So I'm
sharing that
I want to
perspective.
get Pat and or Joe back on, so I'll drop off.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, great. Good seeing you.
You too.
So let's move on to the gentleman with the rabbit ears that look like they're white. Very nice. Very engaging. You look very official. You almost look like an astronaut, Ian.
Wow. Fly to the moon. Wonderful.
We are. We're on the journey together.
Exactly.
So let's take a moment, introduce yourself, where you're from, what you do, and talk a little bit about your chapter, Ian.
Okay. My name's Ian Bosler. I'm based in Melbourne, Australia. And unlike Nikki, I do not need my slippers on. It's 35 degrees in our temperature, which translates in the US to 95 degrees plus.
Wow.
Okay, so it's a bit of a warm day today, but it's all right. Thank goodness for air conditioning. That's all I can say. Goes down.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So in Australia, I've got a company called Intertype, and we look at marketing and sales communication solutions for our clients. And we actually applied a whole raft of different approaches and technologies to develop our own marketing and sales communications. And that's really what I talk about in the book, is the three frameworks that we've distilled it all down to, that if you get these three frameworks working in any business, your business growth can kick off. Your marketing and sales communications process can be basically run on autopilot. And that just, once we twigged to that and applied it into our business, the difference to our business was just phenomenal, and continues to improve down the track now, which has probably been going a good 5 years since we started this approach. And it's just something that I'm very passionate about, and that's what I try to get across in the book. Now, with it, we look at, what I explore in the book is very much about how do you create an automated or an optimized and automated marketing and sales communications process. And then we look at the three frameworks that you should approach when you build the automated processes. And the three frameworks are, firstly, the first one is how do you attract new customers? So that's the first framework. Attracting new customers is important for every business. Okay? And it doesn't matter what channels you use, whether it's social or advertising, it's direct mail, advertising on TV or pay-per-click, content marketing. There's a whole raft of different channels, PR, you name it, they're all out there. And by the way, I believe every one of those work if you could put the effort into understanding how they work and getting it working for your business. So the key, though, is to find the right one for you and your business, and then optimize it so it works effectively. And once you get one channel working on the attract new customers, you then look at how do I get another channel working, and then another and another and another. And then before long, you'll start to have 3 or 4 channels working and optimized for your business, and you'll be surprised at the flood of new customers that you'll achieve just by doing it that way. So that's the first framework. The second framework, we look to understand how we can sell more to customers. So that could be existing or new customers. And we look at things like cross-selling and upselling, and a term I like, because I think this is the big kicker, I call it value selling. That's where we move up and down the value chain and the supply chain around the goods and services that we actually supply. And if we can expand our offer up and down that value chain, the incremental value for customers is phenomenal. And suddenly competitors become irrelevant. And that's a very, very sweet spot. If you can make your competitors irrelevant by approaching the way you communicate and the way you package your offers, is very, very powerful tool. Okay. And the final one is all about selling at higher prices. Now, any business would like to be the price leader. So I shouldn't say every business. I think, generally speaking, most businesses. There's certain businesses out there who pride themselves in being the lowest cost provider, or the lowest cost, or the low cost price leader. And we see that. I think you see that in the US and certain like Walmarts and Costco's and all of that, the very big focus in on price. But that's not sustainable for the vast majority of businesses out there. We all want to get a better return on the effort that we put into our goods and services. We all want to get a better return on our investment. And being the low price leader is usually not a very good tactic or strategy to actually grow a profitable customer relationship. And so in the book, we explore the ways we go about doing that, and the way you go about presenting the whole price issue, and how you can change it from a price compare to a value compare. And again, while you're doing that, you're suddenly making competitors irrelevant, because I can guarantee you your industry is probably not doing it the way you're going to be doing it if you follow these frameworks and this approach that I talk about.
So Ian, in your work with clients, you help them navigate the 3 different frameworks within their business. You teach them how to do that. You have a format, system.
Yeah, we have a format and a system, but we also do it more so in a done with you approach rather than a done for you. Now, I'm a big believer that the most important asset any business has is its marketing and sales process, because that's the cash generator for your business. And I don't believe you should outsource that. You've got to own that. You shouldn't have somebody come in there and do it for you. Otherwise, you're giving away the keys to your kingdom. And if you get somebody come in there and do it for you, it's very easy for them to say, okay, well, I'm going to take that now. I know how to do that. And I'm going to set up in competition to you. And you don't want that. You really need to own your own processes. And so our model is very much about doing it with you, hand-holding clients through that process on how they can improve and optimize their marketing and sales communications. So,
from a engagement standpoint, Ian, when you work with a client, how long does it take for them to begin to see positive results in terms of the outcomes that they were seeking to?
Yeah, that can vary widely. Okay. So I'm not going to give you a very specific answer there because it might be misleading. Okay. I can talk about our business because I know exactly what happened there within 6 weeks.
Nice.
I've noticed a considerable difference, and that was during the height of the global financial crisis.
And did you have to turn your business upside down, or how much pain was involved with implementation?
Okay. Well, during the GFC, everybody was suffering pain. Okay, all businesses were suffering pain, and ours was no exception. And yes, we had to go through and put a little bit of extra pain into the business to turn it around.
Right.
But that pain didn't last very long. We actually totally reconfigured our whole sales and marketing process. So unfortunately for some people, we had to downsize our sales area, which was painful for us because we don't like letting go of staff, particularly if they're doing well and very good people. But we had to. And we had to replace them with a different process. And since then, and this is going back 4 or 5 years, I mean, our business is, well more than doubled since then, and we haven't replaced the sales team. We now have the whole sales effort, I suppose, is down to, we've gone from a team of people down to usually me, about 10 to 20% of my time.
I hope you're compensating yourself well.
Yeah, well, I've saved a lot of money.
Ian, that your story is very compelling, and certainly your frameworks are very interesting. If people wanted to learn more about you and engaging you further, how do they do that?
Okay, there's a simple way. They can actually get access to a free video training session where I dive in much deeper depth to what I go into in the chapter within the book. Okay, so if they buy the book, at the moment, Kindle, 99 cents, very good deal. US, $1.38 Australian. So my Australian friends who are watching this, it's $1.38, unfortunately. But that will then give them access to this bonus. They can get that either through the book directly, or if they're watching this blab as an extra special bonus, if those people who can't afford $1.38, they can actually go and get the bonus. And they go to www.3frameworks.com, and that's the word 3, THREE, frameworks.com, and they can then sign up to actually get the copy or get access to that training. And through that, they'll connect up with me. Alternatively, they can go to our website, which is Intertype. That's intertype.com.au. So,
that's awesome, Ian.
Yeah.
Appreciate your insights and certainly your participation being a key contributor to the group. We are very thankful for your perspectives. Let me turn over now to Olivier, who has joined us. Olivier,
Hi.
welcome.
Thank you. So,
Let's you know the drill.
I know the drill.
What's your story? Where are you from? And teach us a little bit about your chapter.
Well, I'm originally from Paris, France. I moved to the US with my wife, who is American, and have been here for something like 18 years. So, and I have been in social media for the last 8 years. Started after a car accident, and just to try to find a job, created a group called Linked HR. And that group was not the first HR group. I was very motivated, and consequently, my group became the largest group on LinkedIn. It is still the largest professional group today for human resources only, and it has a million members. So I started with other groups. I'm the founder of the largest energy group, the largest career management group, the largest golf group, though I don't play golf. I have been doing a lot of groups for corporations. We have our company has grown groups for IBM, for Oracle, Salesforce. So, and from them, obviously, learn a lot of experience. So social media in general, not just LinkedIn. And that was early this year. I started on Twitter. I have now more than 8,500 followers, and I'm still growing very fast. So, so I got interested in what is called the social CEO. Kind of strangely, CEOs are usually not on social media. I think it's less than 30%. And if they are, they are on LinkedIn only. It's a little bit like the story of the CRM. What started as a contact management solution, a contact manager. Every salesman had that. Every division department. But they were living with it when they were leaving the company, and it was not organized and it was not connected. So that's where the CRM come from. Same thing for social media. You come to a company, you work with your own account, your own Twitter account, your own LinkedIn account. Yes, there are company pages, but really what's move and create viral messages, it's the people, it's not the companies. So I do believe that just like for the CRM, the CEO must be involved in social media, not just being involved, and be the one who organized the whole social media strategy. I believe that social media is not just a tool used by recruiters or used by salespeople. Yes, there are tools called social media marketing for the marketers, social CRM for the people doing support. You have social recruiting for the recruiters. That are tools, but social media in general is a policy with across departments, not just one, and all social media work together. So there are a few rules, I would say. It's number one. So it's the CEO on the top. It's cross department, and 3, it's even the most important. Employees need to advocate. Be the advocate for the company. So you need to involve them. So based on that, I've developed kind of a 10 steps program to get to social media leadership, starting by the CEO, who is putting together a team. And so just to explain, the first step is is obviously the first thing you want to do is a social media audit. You start with that, trying to know what's the strengths of the company, where are the influencer here, where are how the competitors are doing. Then from there, you build a cross-functional team, all departments. You move to evaluate the employee influence. That's called an employee influence assessment survey. At that time, you know how strong you are. You can go to the next stage, do a content management plan. A lot of content in a company, but nobody have access to it. So put it together and find a way that is easy for employees to share it, to retweet it. Obviously, because of you trust your employees, you need a social media policy, not one which is very strict, because it discourages employee to use it, to use social media for the company. What is better is to have an open one, where you make you train people so they know what they can do or not do. Strategic planning come next, and when you have a strategy, you need to work on skill and talent development, because you need to have all the you find on some departments some people that are not sufficiently trained, and they should be at the head of the social media movement, I would say. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let me ask a question. In your experience and expertise, who owns that social media strategy inside of a company?
I believe that if it's not the CEO, for a smaller company, it should be the CEO directly, but he is assisted by two people. One with, in social media, you have the social and the media. So the media is more the content management. So somebody who can go in various departments and try to find what can be shared with the outside. And you have the social guy. The social is the one who do all the campaign. It's the campaign manager. He's the one who send messages and he's the influencer of the company, I would say, the main influencer. So, we speak here a lot about viral messages. Nothing is viral. It's about knowing the influencers in one field. If the same picture of a cat can be all over the world or never be seen, and the reason is, one, it went through an influencer who liked it, who sent it to all the influencers. So that's what you need to find, is who are the influencer within your company, to which influencers they are talking to, they are speaking with, and that's the basis. There's no need to do big email marketing campaign where you address tons of people. Social media is about finding the right influencers. You don't need to know a lot of people, you need to know the right people. But I think it's true in any networking type of movement. So
what would you consider, Olivier, to be the biggest risk in the development, engagement, communication of corporate messages to both the employees, that's an internal communication, and to the from a branding standpoint, to the clients? Well,
every company is afraid of what's going to happen. The disgruntled employee or the mistake made by an executive. I don't think that's the worst, because if you are really influence, you have an influence on the web, you could always say, "I'm sorry, I made a mistake." The issue is where you are not on social media, because people talk about you and you are not there to respond. So whatever the is to be on social media, it will always be lower than not to be on social media. Because if you have a crisis, the crisis happened with people within or not on social media. it's the people who get out the crisis the faster are the one who know how to, to present themselves better. So.
Very good. Thank you. Olivier, how do people get in touch with you to learn more about your strategies, techniques, and approaches?
Well, the best, my life is around LinkedIn. It's become more about Twitter, but I am on LinkedIn, and from there you can reach me everywhere, I would say. You invite me to connect, and you have my contact information. And my LinkedIn account is obviously linkedin.com/in/OTAUPIN. And I am looking forward to having people following me on Twitter and inviting me to connect on LinkedIn.
Very good. Thank you, Olivier. I'm going to introduce a couple of our other speakers that are lingering somewhere. So, Olivier, thank you for your share, your contributions. I am going to get a little more light. I see Pat has joined us. Pat, how are you?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly, Pat.
Well, good, because I've been having trouble with the old microphone.
You are clear, and hopefully my room is a little brighter. You can see my smiley face. So, Pat, welcome. You are one of 14 contributing authors to what we believe to be certainly groundbreaking strategies, tips, techniques, and tactics that can be used by small business people as well as some larger corporations. So what would you like to share with our audience today in relationship to you, where you're from, what you do, and what can you share from your chapter that can help our folks better understand what you do?
Well, I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. I am a manufacturer of therapy equipment that's used quite extensively in the horse racing industry and the performance sports world. And we're now moving into the small animal and the human segments as far as therapy is concerned. It's a piece of therapy equipment that basically reduces inflammation. And by reducing inflammation, we relieve pain. And that's a very big deal to a lot of athletes and to a lot of people. How I became involved in this particular group is by virtue of going to some summits and some live events dealing with marketing and how you build your business and things like that. And I used the tools to, in fact, help my business grow. And then I participated in a couple of books and participating in some masterminds, which we are members of, and became very interested in that aspect. My world has been pretty much one of social media. When we built our business, we used video, much like a lot of folks have done, but we used video extensively and interviews and all that type of information. And we one day learned after about 5 or 6 years on the road in an RV that everybody was coming through Facebook. One way or another, we were doing our business through Facebook. And so we really started paying attention to how Facebook worked, Twitter worked, various methods of social media, email, and everything involved. And we just found that if we managed all of those channels, a lot of people talk about it as multi-channel marketing or multicast marketing. We kind of looked at it from a method of which people could communicate with us. We had to pay attention to all the different ways that people would ask us a question. They may ask us a question through an email that we would need to do something with, and they would also make a comment on Facebook, or they'd make a comment on Twitter, and we'd have to be able to answer and communicate with them in all of those different channels. And that's an area that I think a lot of folks have looked at multicast marketing as an outbound venue, and we look at it as an inbound thing that we need to take care of. We need to take care of the multi-channels, as we call it, multi-source customer service, to take care of all the different ways in which a person can communicate with us, and they want that communication. If they ask you a question on Facebook Messenger and you're not there, they know you're not there. They know you may have seen it, but you didn't respond to it. Or if they send you an email, they expect to be responded to. So we have to monitor all of these different channels, as we call them, as they are, and then try to stay on top of that and communicate with our customers. And we've kind of worked that down to a pretty good little science. We've got different people who watch different different areas and try to stay on top of our customers all the time. Because customers today they used to say in sales, it takes 10 or 12 contacts to sell someone. Today, people are going out and they are sourcing information. If they want to buy our piece of equipment, for example, they may go to the internet and look for 10 or 12 pieces of content to educate them, to verify what we're selling, or to verify. That's a pretty good issue with it, as to what we're selling, and before they make their buying decisions. So if we can be the one supplying that content, and we can be the one answering that question, we are in fact ahead of our competition. So we feel that that's a very big and important part of today's customer service cycle. And that's what my chapter is about, and that's what we approach.
Pat, you've had extraordinary growth year over year. Would you care to share with our audience and our listeners a little bit about your story? How did you do that? I mean, that's remarkable.
Well, it is an interesting story, and I think at least it's interesting to me, and and thank you for asking. But it's interesting from the standpoint that when we started this business and we had this piece of therapy equipment and we hit the road in our RV, starting to go to horse shows, dog shows, veterinary shows, chiropractic conventions around the country, our business grew to a point, actually mid six figures. We were comfortable, everything was working, but we were just stuck in that type of position. We used video and communication as a tool at that point. And then all of a sudden along came the social media aspect, and things were better, but they just stayed pretty much where they were. And then we became involved, as I mentioned, in these marketing efforts to better utilize the internet, better utilize the channels of communication, and some ways to educate our people online. We started an online training course, an online certification course, and people just loved that. They wanted to have the certification. They wanted to have ownership in what they were doing. And frankly, when we did those two things, online training, online certification, our business grew 40% in less than 60 days. And
that's amazing.
We went that year, we ended up just below a 7-figure year. The next year, we went to a full 7-figure, $1.5 million. This year, we're approaching. We're looking to be closer to $2.5–3 million in 4 years. We're on a trajectory. We got into a mastermind group, and I sat down with Ed Rush, is who I was dealing with, and he put me through a little cadence of listing what I do, where I spend my time, where we spend our time, and narrowed down where we should be spending our time, focused on that, and set some goals, and we're right on track to meet those goals. We're looking in 7 years to be a $10 million company. We're hoping to do that, and the Lord willing, everything will fall into place. But it all came about by virtue of communication, by virtue of giving people what they wanted, and paying attention to that and responding to that. And that's what is, to me, was so important about this book. There's a lot of people and I'm not a young person. I'm in my 60s, but I grasp and I really go after technology. And a lot of folks my age, a lot of folks even in their mid 50s or even younger, are just coming into the technology age, and they're sitting back saying, well, I don't need Facebook, or I don't need this, or I don't really need to know what my website's about. And they're totally wrong. If they don't embrace the technology and go to where they can really embrace their customers, they're missing the boat. And I believe that's happening in multi-million-dollar corporations as much as it was happening in my fledgling 6-figure corporation. Once we embraced that, everything changed, and it is continuing to change today. We're fine-tuning our tools, the tools that we're using to better approach how we communicate, when we communicate. I read an article today on how people are improving their email rates by sending personal cards to their customers. Because whose email are you going to open? Someone that sent you a card? Or are you going to open the email that you get every week that you don't know who's sending it? Just little disruptions like that are changing the way everybody's doing everything. But that's one of those channels that we have to monitor. And I'll talk all night if you let me to. So I'm sorry,
Pat. You first of all, you've got a fascinating story, and certainly an unquestionable track record for performance growth in your current situation, your current position. And it probably started with a kernel of an idea. You had an idea. Can you reflect and share for the audience, what was that idea that triggered this kind of focus and growth?
I guess, wow, that's a good question, Miguel. My story gets a little involved when I go back to how I got into this business to begin with. But my focus became, I studied broadcasting. I had an interesting major in college. I studied broadcasting and microbiology and pathology. Now, go figure. But I loved communication because of video. I wanted to do video. I wanted to do movies. I wanted to do all that kind of stuff. And then microbiology and pathology dealt with family business and a lot of things going on. So I wanted to be prepared to be there as well. But today in my therapy business, something that I didn't use for years, the microbiology and pathology, became very important to when I sold myself to people selling my therapy equipment. What is a salesman doing talking to me about therapy equipment? So I had to go back to my education and say, this is what I do. So I guess, and I got off there a little bit, but to answer your question, when I got after 9/11, here's the deal. I sold jet airplanes and I did jet aircraft maintenance. And 9/11 came along and everything went away. And I had to find something else to do. And so I grew up with horses as a kid, and I had a friend in Canada who says, hey, I need someone to help me with my therapy equipment and come on and sell therapy equipment. And I said, okay, I'll do that. I know horses. I know my way around a racetrack. And he said, don't go to Churchill Downs because they'll eat you alive. Well, that's the first place I went. I went to Churchill Downs. I walked around and found somebody who would talk to me. I talked to them. They told me where to go, what to say, who to talk to, who not to talk to. And I began selling this equipment. But from that day, I went back to my college of video. What can I present to these people to show them something different? So the idea was, how can I reach out to make myself an authority? I didn't understand that term back at that time until I became involved with the groups and the places we've been, Miguel. But then I learned, but I always made myself, stupidly so or ignorantly so, an authority in what I was doing. And when I got involved with these groups and they talked about how to make yourself an authority and present yourself as a professional, it just was so natural. And so I grasped onto that and applied it to everything I did every day in our business. And so that was the idea, to just focus.
That is awesome. You have quite a compelling story, Pat, and certainly we applaud your involvement and participation in making this book a bestseller. And again, your story is just unbelievably strong, and you got some great ideas for the viewers and listeners to help enhance, stimulate, and grow their businesses. If people wanted to get a hold of you, Pat, how do they do that?
Well, my company is MagnaWave, MagnaWavepemf.com. That's a mouthful. On the book, it's multisourcestrategy.com. That's pretty easy. Multisourcestrategy.com. For my bonuses if someone wants to get in contact with me, they can go there.
Excellent, Pat. We really appreciate your involvement. You have a great balance of your day. Thanks for the entertainment, by the way.
Yeah, not a problem. I'll be around if somebody wants to ask a question.
You bet, Pat. Now, I see my mountain man friend who just logged in. Look at this. He's growing a beard. Mountain man. I know it's cold in Vegas, but not that cold. Welcome, Joe.
I've been on the whole time. It's been excellent. Everybody's individual stories are great.
So why don't you share with us a little bit about your story, Joe? Who are you? Where are you calling in from today, by the way? And how did you? Nice. I like the blab. Very nice. Good deal.
Get a T-shirt.
I love that. So you're on, Joe. Who are you? Where are you from?
I have offices both in Newport Beach, California, and also in Las Vegas. Currently, I'm in Las Vegas. About 40 years in the IT business, most recently with IBM, always in the software side of the house. And when I left in 2005, I went and started my own company. And we've been doing things such as reputation management and consulting for corporations. And it's been going very well. And I became involved with this group, which is probably one of the best masterminds you could ever get into. And writing books, 3 consecutive #1 sellers for myself. And now this one here that we just put out. And my section is on reputation management, and it's your company. So kind of a scary thing because I'll quote Warren Buffett, it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. It's so true. And if you think about it, you'll do things a lot differently. When you think of all the different scandals that have happened out there, the Enrons and the WorldCom and all the different corporate governance and political regulations and everything are going on, companies are forced to look at reputation a little bit more. Although the organizations are seeming to gain a greater understanding of reputation and its value, most of them continue to struggle with identifying the risks and involving and developing strategies to mitigate them. It's crucial nowadays to be listening out on the social world to everything that's being said about your corporation, good and bad, and be able to respond to them in the shortest amount of time possibly. The longer you wait, the more money it costs you. For instance, you take any company such as Taco Bell. One of their employees puts up a video on the internet of him licking a whole stack of taco shells, and it goes viral within minutes. Well, if it takes them 4 to 5 days to get a hold of their lawyers, their marketing department, their advertising department to come up with a strategy, and their corporate executives, forget it. You just lost $20 million worth of business. They needed to respond within an hour with some type of plan of what they were going to do and how they could address this person's what they've done. And those plans have to be rehearsed and in place well before any incident happens, because if not, you don't know how to respond to an online reputation crisis. You're way behind the ball. And this goes all the way up to the corporate suite, and they have to be included in it and make sure there's practice drills whenever it happens. Is there anything else you wanted to?
Yeah. So if you're a small to medium sized business without access to all those lawyers, publicists, or a limited budget, how would you suggest a smaller company deal with those kinds of issues?
Sure. One thing I wanted to mention that our book is, although it's written for the C-suite, I think it's also written for the small business person too. They might as well look at it and see what the big companies are doing and how they're doing it, and kind of filter it down, percolate it down, and say, you know what, maybe we can do a little bit of this, maybe we can do a little bit of that. But if the big boys are doing it, I guess I need to be taking a look at it too, because I want to make sure I don't get caught with my pants down also. What they do is,
and Joe, your book covers some of that, your chapter?
Yeah, it covers some of that as far as what to look for, how to respond to customer service questions and concerns in a more personal way, positioning your brand where your target audience is. Put little listeners out there, things of finding out of like a Google alert. Let me know every time somebody talks about this or my topic or that type of this product.
Why don't you explain to us that don't know what a Google alert is, what that is?
Sure. In Google, you can there's a pull-down menu where you can have Google alert you through email and or through Google when anybody talks. I can put in my name. When anybody talks about JT Ippolito, when anybody talks about media marketing management, whatever topic is reputation management. When those things come up in Google, they'll send you an alert saying, hey, this is being talked about right now. And you can go exactly then and jump in and join the conversation and see what is trending on the internet in regards to those particular processes.
And how much does that cost to do that?
Free.
Free? Did you say free?
Yeah. the nice thing is with the consumerization of IT products and services and software that at one time used to cost hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars, and it only took an IT staff to do, are now right at your fingertips of being a small businessman, and most of it is for free.
You know, your chapter, Joe, connects very nicely with a couple of other of the authors that are also featured in the book.
Sure.
And one of them that comes to mind, we had him on a couple of authors ahead of you. Olivier talked about CEO, the social CEO.
That's right.
Can you give us a little bit of your perspective on that?
Well, they need to get involved. They need to have a presence because people want to hear from the CEO. And I don't mean they go on to Twitter and they go on to that type of thing, but occasionally putting out information as far as where he thinks the company's direction is going, what the competitors are doing, what he sees. The best thing is when he can do things like trending, what he sees is going to happen within the next 5 or 10 years down the road in his industry. They have to be on the forefront. The number one thing I tell to every single corporation and small business is if you're not number 1, 2, or 3 in your marketplace, you're not going to be around very much longer, or you're going to lose market share consistently to where you're not even relevant anymore. And by relevancy, I mean they have to be out there every single day and every single week talking about the company, making sure everybody knows, hey, we're out here, we're doing this, we got this new product, we're doing that type of thing, we're going to have a TV show, we're going to do a webinar and this type of thing for our new product launch. And if you're not doing that, you're not considered relevant. If you look at it, you name me one web page that's out there or website that's out there that's ever been updated. It's a static piece of information that people only go to and find certain information. Well, that's not live. That's just you on there. And you need to be upgrading that occasionally to make sure that your information is always right. When people look for it, it's up to date. And they need to know that it's there and you need to communicate. Otherwise, you're irrelevant. And if they're not talking about you, you're not responding, you're not even playing games. You're not even in the game.
That's great insight, Joe. Before we conclude with your comments and remarks, what one thing, if you had to leave the listeners and viewers one strategy for 2016, which is only about 2 weeks away, that they should be looking to implement like in 2 weeks or less, what would it be, Joe?
2016, you got to get on board and start getting out on social media and talking and reaching out to your clients in your niche and in your market, because those are the people that are going to be buying from you, and respond to things and help them, lead them. Maybe they don't understand everything that's going on in your marketplace, even though they use products from your marketplace. Lead them along, give them something to come to you so that you don't have to chase them. And what I mean come to you is they'll start getting more and more information from you, and they'll get deeper and deeper within your company. And then when it's time to buy, they know exactly who to go to. They're not just out there, wandering around trying to figure out what's on this website, what's on that website. It's the actual information that you're having a conversation with.
And Joe, why don't you share with the audience, how do people learn more about you, or how do they contact you?
Yeah, sure. I also put it in the chat on the right. I can be reached at jtippolito.com. I also have Sync Media Network, which is SYNC medianetwork.com, which is our broadcast television and also reality shows and independent films. And the main corporation is Media Marketing Management, MGMT.com. And on either one of those sites, if you have any question at all, I'm always free to help give free input back. There is a calendar on there that you can set the time and date you want to chat. We'll get together and chat. Give back to the community.
Very good. Thank you, Mountain Man.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You're looking awesome.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Looking for a couple of authors, if we still have a few. If I don't have anybody on deck, then I will take it from here. So let me talk a little bit about what I do. I work in the area of, leadership training, sales management training, and help with the foundational assistance that both individuals and companies need in order to enhance performance. So what are those, for the purposes of the book, where did I focus on in terms of this book and 2016 and beyond? So I'm a certified Talent Smart coach, consultant in the area of emotional intelligence. One of the things that gets in the way of people's success is having low levels of emotional intelligence. Have you ever noticed, for example, that great communicators, salespeople, CEOs, and otherwise seem to make progress and be very effective in terms of the things that they do relative to both business and, equally as important, personal life? Well, if that energy, if that performance could be measured, and it can be measured, it has to do with a high level of emotional intelligence that those individuals are using. Look, you and I both know that we don't always get our way. If we did, Joe would be closing 100% of everybody he sells to. And that is not in the cards. Almost impossible, but you can get a high percentage. And a lot of that has to do with not only how you communicate with clients, but also on how you present yourself to clients. So I teach clients and business owners and leadership teams in 4 basic areas that has to do with improving and getting a high level of EQ. And it starts with self-awareness. So there are tests and feedback that I help people with in terms of determining self-awareness of their emotional intelligence. So it starts with the educational piece and self-assessment to get that self-assessment. Then we move from that stage of evaluating where you are today to developing skills in areas of self-management. Inevitably, try saying that fast, and in every case that I work with people, what we find is that whatever level of emotional intelligence they're currently being self-assessed at can be improved by self-management techniques. So self-management techniques, I want everybody to think for a moment. When was the last time you responded and reacted in a way that you would not be proud of? I want you to think about it. Everyone's got it clearly in their head. And describe for yourself what emotional state you were in when you reacted that way. Well, that's part of self-realization and self-management. Once you realize what we call your triggers, then you develop strategies and techniques to cope and to deal with it effectively. So people with high IQ are very well skilled in self-management techniques. So I work with, again, organizations and individuals to help them with that area. The third level of significance has to do with social engagement, social awareness. And we've talked a lot about social media, communications, and other things. But have you ever noticed that there are certain people that you migrate to that you like that have strong communication skills, for example, to use that metric? Well, that's because they have great social awareness skills. They know how to communicate. They know how to attend an event and not be necessarily a shrinking violet, but they also don't have to be the center of attention in every conversation. They engage just right for the environment. And then, of course, you got other people, and you've met them all. I'll ask you to think and reflect for a moment. Your last BNI meeting, which is a networking organization that really is a little too aggressive for my tests because they are transaction-oriented in their relationship. In fact, very low on EQ, relationship management, very high on transaction, because everybody usually that's in BNI is looking for a sale. Well, you know what? People do business, as you guys know, with people that they know, like, trust, and respect. So there are better ways to engage rather than being as assertive or direct as sometimes folks are in a BNI networking group. After that, you've got the most significant and most important fourth element of emotional intelligence, and that has to do with relationship management. Think and reflect for a moment. Who are your best customers? Why are they your best customers? How do you communicate with those customers? How do you communicate with any customer? Think about your for those of you who have automated marketing systems, think about your autoresponders, your sequencing. What message you're sending out? What frequency do you use? So again, all these tools are very transferable to the real strategies and approaches that we all use in our business. So I share that with you because that's what my chapter talks to. Those 4 components of improving emotional intelligence as it affects the hard dollars of improving your business results. And if you've got a large organization or a small organization, or you want it for your own self-development, that tool is outstanding and I highly recommend it. Anyway, my name is Miguel De Jesus. My organization name is Purpose and Action LLC. I'm headquartered where Joe's got a couple of other offices in Las Vegas, and I do great work with a number of people. I work in both small businesses and have a couple of Fortune 500 executives that I coach with. Love what I do and continue to do that. And that's my story. You can get a hold of me at www.coachmiguel.com. And let me open the lines to anyone who would like to ask a question of any of the authors that are online or have any comments. Please join us. The lines are open.
Thanks, Miguel. That was great on your part, too, as far as what your company does.
Thank you, Joe.
Hey, perfect, Miguel. I was just going to say the same thing. I wonder if there's any folks. We have a few folks that are not part of our group that have joined us. So I wonder if they have any questions that they'd like to ask.
Yeah, please feel
jump
free
on and answer them.
Absolutely. Please feel free to jump on and ask any questions. I see a Mighty Mouse avatar. Who's that? Wow,
that's Rob. That's a fellow named Rob. R. Gletter is his name. And then we have a pilot. Nihilist Pilot is with us.
Awesome. Again, any questions? Any questions? Don't be timid. Don't be shy.
And Susan Ordana is with us.
Hi, Susan.
Hi, Susan.
We've met many, many times. Another great woman entrepreneur.
Congratulations on your latest book, Susan.
Absolutely. And then we have Richella. Richella is with us. So perhaps they have some comments or questions, having listened to what we've been discussing.
Pat, thanks for helping facilitate, because I'm on an iPad. I don't have those screens.
Yeah, no problem.
Is Rob, the Mighty Mouse, is that Rob Cuesta by any chance?
Well, R. Gletter.
And Susan, you're welcome. Your book is very great. I suggest everybody.
First area. I mean, my God, we cover everything from webinars to social media to interaction, just everything. And it becomes mind-boggling for someone where to start. And JT kind of addressed that. Where should I start? If somebody's going into 2016, what do they need to do? And I always just say start somewhere. But, where did you start, Miguel? What got you when you left and both of you, actually, there's two great guys here. Both of you were in Fortune 500 companies or large companies. When you left and you started to go on your own, what was your focus?
Here's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So for the better part of 40 plus years, I helped individuals grow first, whether they worked in my organization or worked cross-functionally in other organizations. I had the benefit of working with two Fortune 500 companies. One was $15 billion when I left it, and the other one, actually, I started when it was about a $40 million company. So that's big for smaller businesses, small from where I was coming from. And help leverage my knowledge and expertise to help that organization grow from about 40 million to 2 billion before I retired. So what is the common thread for what I have done for most of my life? And I'll answer it in a brief sentence. And that is to help people achieve breakthrough performance in whatever thing they were looking for. Now, that could be a business thing. It could be personal development. It could be obstacles, overcoming them. It could be hurdles. It could be developing strategies. So whatever it is that they needed, I served as a conduit to not only assist them with it, because I had the skills to do it, but also to help them achieve a breakthrough. And one of the things that I enjoy doing which, by the way, is not necessarily available to all leadership-oriented people. There are some that can teach, some that lead, but rarely have I found the combination of both, where leadership and the educational aspect and strength of training have been found in one individual. I probably met 4 executives in my entire career who actually focused on providing both. So that's what I do. The why I do it is to help people achieve their breakthroughs. And I really enjoy the journey. And obviously meeting the hundreds, not quite, maybe thousands of people that I've met along the way. So
you've had interaction with those folks to a very intimate degree.
Yes.
So that takes me, Plain Sight Video is asking a question. He says, I came in kind of late, but the best way for businesses to drive engagement would be to create value in the lives of their customers or potential customers. I don't find many people talking about this. You don't need to sell for that to be the result. I think I understand what he's saying, but any thoughts on that, to create value in the lives of their customers or potential customers?
JT?
Well, mine has always been, when you achieve a certain amount of success or you've been around long enough, like Miguel and myself, it's time to turn around and give back and lend a hand to everybody else and bring them up. Throughout my career, regardless of where I was in software sales, I always went and made sure I was working on the latest software that was leading edge technology, just on the market, like within 3 months, not leading edge, not mainstream, but bleeding edge. And I gravitated towards that. And I went after being the first person to go out and sell that to the first corporations that can use it. And as I went on through my career, I kept saying to myself, why can't the little guy or a smaller guy or a $50 million company find out about this bleeding edge products at the same time we try to get it out to these major corporations? Granted, they may not be able to afford it at the time, but at least make them aware of it and give them some free education about it. And I found that by doing that and not asking them to buy anything at all, just giving back to the community, I found I got a lot more people interested in what I was doing in my products, and they came along for the ride.
I think that's something that, and Nikki's coming in, but I think that's something that addressing Plain Sight Video's question when he talks about putting value in the lives of their customers or their potential customers. In reality, Plain Sight, that's really, no matter how we cut it, that's what we're trying to do in this book, because the today's world, everybody can be personal. Everybody can have value, what they find through the internet or through the digital marketplace. It's there. They can connect personally with Miguel or JT or Nikki or me or whoever it happens to be. And I think you're exactly right. And that's one of the things that fueled this, is so many people don't know, or they miss how to personally connect with their customers, to whether, we could talk about selling, which everybody's doing one way or the other. We all need to make money, but if to create value to your customers is where it's at. And that's what we're attempting to do in this book, is to show people, whether they're in the C-suite or they're in a small business, how to better connect with their customers, to move that value from me to my customers, so they can take that value and give it to their customers down the road. So I think that's a great question, Plain Sight. But perhaps Nikki or JT or Miguel, you have a spin on that.
Let's have Nikki have her comment.
Yeah, basically in the internet marketing world, and Plain Sight Video is bringing up Gary Vaynerchuk as an example, awesome example. What they do is they basically go out and engage and give value as many times as they can. And it's not until the 5th or the 7th or the 12th time that these people are contacted that they turn around and then convert and become that regular customer who trusts. And so it's a matter of quantity in addition to quality.
Yeah, I would. The only thing I would add to those comments, Plain Sight Video, is that you take a look at Vaynerchuk's business model. He's very Trumpian in his communications, and from that perspective, he gains a lot of viewers, listeners, etc., because he cuts to the chase. But he has and continues to have a tremendously large free line of information, insights, tips, and strategies. I mean, he's probably one of the largest still givers of content available. And for those of us who've been in the community for a while, we all know that, once you've got your why, and Gary has communicated his why many times, and the what, he comments on the what, but what we all know is that you can't take the why or the what without the how to go execute. All right. There are many people that'll say, oh, yeah, I took this course XYZ and they learned a lot. They got some tips and strategies, some ideas that were tactical, but they fall apart on the tactics because they can't what? They can't do the how. And that's where specialists like us could help an organization move forward and go do the how. So when you take a look at all the free information that's available online, and you really analyze it, they usually leave out the how. They don't give you the how. Now, many of us on this call right now actually go a little further, and we do give the how, because we do it for a number of reasons. We do it unselfishly. We do it because we want to help a nonprofit or someone that really can't afford our services. So we scale down what we offer and help them anyway. So I think your example of Gary Vee is a good example of a massively free intellectual property line that he's been using for a number of years, which many of us in the book also use, and I think it's very helpful. Anybody else have a comment?
No, I think he's right on, and I think my mother used to say when I was a kid. God bless my mother, but my mother used to look at me and say, hey, go do something and fake it till you make it. And, and there's a lot to that in the sales world. You want to project that you know what you're talking about, know what you're doing, so you can then make it at some point in time. But today you hear Gary Vaynerchuk, which I've heard him say, Brendan Bouchard and other people, give it until you get it. And so if you just keep giving to your customers, making them feel value, you will get what you need. You will get what you want if your product has value. Your product's got to hold up to what you're offering. I would not be successful in my business today if my product didn't work. It works. And by us giving and producing, just as you've shared, Miguel and Nikki and JT, you do that and you get what you need.
Yeah. And there's a little bit of pay it forward on that too, where you give and give and give. And if that person is not going to reciprocate or give back, they might be referring you on to somebody who's even better suited for you.
Right. Plain Sight says he was strictly talking about Gary's wine business, but it doesn't. It plays everywhere. It played in his wine business because that's where he started, to talk to people, to educate them about his wines and what he was doing, and it worked. And then he realized, gee, I can share this with Pat, or I can share it with the other folks and help them grasp a hold of it and grow what they need to do. He hates Gary Vee, but he's highly intelligent, And I that's another lesson I learned from my mother. I wanted everybody to like me, and she used to say to me, "Everybody's not going to like you." Not
going to like you.
And I don't think Gary cares if
he doesn't
like him. But he is intelligent, and he does do his deal. So we all need to learn from those instances.
Yeah.
What was his book? Jab, 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 right hook.
That's something like that. I forget.
That kind of explains his thought process. Any other questions from anyone online or otherwise? Don't be timid.
That was his second book, Plain Sight. Boy, I appreciate the input, Plain Sight, but and thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Plain Sight. Chris, who's Chris? Where's Chris?
Just to let everybody know also, our group here is planning to do this on a regular basis to give back and give information. So look for future blabs by us. I think it's kind of going to be interesting.
Yeah, we're going to have a phenomenal summit coming up February 18th through the 21st. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
2016. It'll be a phenomenal opportunity for many of the viewers, listeners, subscribers, and book purchasers to get further exploration at a deeper level of many of the concepts that we're sharing and discussing tonight. I think it's an important opportunity. We like the summit format because in a small period of compressed time from the comfort of your home, you can listen to experts and authorities in different areas of business to help you along with your business.
What's nice is it's immediate too. This Blab platform, I'll give them another plug. We can get together and immediately talk about something that's topical that's going on. You know, remember a year ago, there wasn't a Periscope, there wasn't Hang With, there wasn't Mirrorkey, that type of thing. So things are changing so rapidly in technology. Which ones do you gravitate to? Which ones do you think are going to work the best for your business? And if it's happening so fast, as in the case of those three products within a year, it's good to have a product like Blab because we get right on it and let you know what we've experienced with those other products to let you know, well, you know, they work great, but all of a sudden Blab is out and maybe I'm not going to use Periscope that much or Twitter that much, that type of thing. Where do I want to gravitate to? That's the next big thing, what I call bleeding edge technology.
Absolutely.
You know,
Testing. Yeah.
when I started almost 10 years ago now, you know, we had the Yahoo groups and the AOL had stuff. And of course, if you looked at Yahoo groups, everybody thought, what are you looking for? Where are you going with this thought here? Are you in the gutter? Are you spending your time in the gutter? You know, that was the defense. And man, it has changed so much and so rapidly over the years that it's just amazing to where we are tonight to be able to sit here and do this and have this kind of conversation with these folks. Chris Sable is, I believe, with us. Maybe he's got a question.
Little side note, when I started in the computer industry, the first computer that I sold was probably as big as your main floor of your house.
Yeah.
And was 1 megabyte and did nothing. So just think with your iPhone in your pocket today, how things have changed. So I've seen quite a lot over the years of what's going on. And our product life cycles back then were 6 or 7 years before you came out with a new product. Think of it today. What is it, 2-3 months?
Oh, yeah. Plain Sight says analysts predict that video will be 75 to 90% of all online traffic by 2017. In my world, it's already there.
Same here.
You know, it just a little sidebar here, and Chris Sable's talking about First Blab, so happy to listen and see how people make the technology work. I use a software called BombBomb. Mm-hmm. And I'm to the point today that if someone sends me an email, I send them a video back. I've got in my Chrome browser that instead of writing them something, I just click the button and the camera comes on and I answer their video and send it back to them.
What's that application, Pat? Well, repeat that for the benefit of everyone.
Yeah, it's called BombBomb. BombBomb. And they have a whole platform where you can go on and do your videos right in BombBomb, or they now have an app that you can use it on Google Chrome. And so on occasion, I'll go to my little studio that we've got in our office and I'll record a video, then I'll upload it to Facebook or wherever we want it to go. But now I can just sit there and hit the button and respond to the video. This is what I think. This is how you need to treat this, or this is how you need to do that. And they love it. They love, as Plain Sight said, people love to have value. And it's incredible that they write me back. Wait a minute, you sent me a video and you used my name. You know, how did you do that? And my biggest challenge, and I'm thankful for this. My biggest challenge is I'm now dealing with 25 or 30 leads a day that come in overnight that I got to send these folks the video back. Say, hey, thanks for taking a look at our website, and if you have any questions, call me. I give everybody my personal cell phone. Give me a shout. Only 20% of them call, but still, I mean, it gets really.
But they remember.
Time consuming.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Let me comment a little bit here on what Plain Sight. Let me just so you guys know, just graduated with my MBA, minor in electronic media production, and I'm not just some guy spamming your comment section. We didn't. That's pretty funny, Plain Sight. I don't think anybody on this call is taking it that way. So,
Absolutely not.
And you didn't have to give us all your over credentials. It's okay. You know. So thank you for joining us, and if you continue to comment on. I'm going to ask Olivier, who is probably listening somewhere. Olivier, I'm going to sign off and give you a spot so you can continue the conversation as long as you'd like. I'll be listening. I'll be somewhere, but here goes, Olivier. I'm going to sign off.
Okay, we can do all whatever needs to happen.
Hold on, no, you guys stay there. But I'm going to give a spot here to Olivier. So let me see. I obviously am not as technically qualified as Plain Sight. How do I go away? How do I make myself go away, Olivier?
Well, you just hit the X.
I did, and it gave me the option to hang up. I don't want to hang up.
If you hang up, you'll still be here. You'll still be on the call. You're just hanging up from the screen. Oh,
okay,
bye, Miguel.
All right, guys.
Oh, you're back.
Now you're back.
I think in Plain Sight is one thing we learned, but not till later in life. If you can take advantage of wisdom and business pedigree of what all of us have had.
You're up a little bit, Joe.
Well, guys, I believe we have been here for an hour and 30 minutes.
We can go as long as people
That's
want.
fast, really quickly.
Or if we want to cut it, thinking save some for another time.
Good. We're not getting many questions from the audience, so unless there's more participation, I'd say let's catch them another time and do another session in a week.
Yeah,
I think we could do that regularly.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, my only request is that we sometimes do it earlier on the East Coast.
Okay.
So those on the West Coast or Australia. And I know that's a problem for Ian and some of the folks. But so those of us on the East Coast are not always into home time. That gets a little tough once in a while.
All right. We will. Talk to you soon. Thank you. It was nice having you. Bye.
Bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
everybody.
See y'all.
For your interest.